What are you doing, Daddy?
Trying to take over the world, Tyler. Welcome to the Awesome Black Dad Show, your number one podcast for and about black dads. I'm your host, creator Terrell Lindsay, and I created this show with the hope that I can encourage, empower, educate, and in the process, entertain fathers in a way that inspires us to be a better version of ourselves. Today on Episode 1 of the Awesome Black Dad Show, we talk career success, health, family, living abroad, and of course, fatherhood and the man's policy. We have the opportunity to chop it up with an old friend that has accomplished success at a level many athletes can only dream of. He currently goes by the name El Presidente, don't ask. 2004 NBA champion, former Chicago Bull, the west side of Chicago's own, Linton Johnson III. Let's get it going, man. I appreciate you coming back to the show, and we're going to try to do this the right way.
I appreciate you letting me get a shower in, brother, because
I know you don't. I've been around you after a workout.
No, but listen, it's even worse now because I try to go all natural with everything, right? So now I done stepped on the path of being all natural with the deodorant.
Oh Lord,
and
Jesus!
Brother, when I work out, I be like, man, I know I don't smell that bad, but the natural deodorant, I got to go back to my degree, man, because the natural deodorant just ain't getting it.
Yeah.
Come on, little man.
Okay, man. So where you at? Let me see him.
See my little man?
What's going on,
Hey.
man?
I ain't shy.
Yeah, it took off running, huh? Hey, man, back to this natural thing. There's only so far that you need to be going with that, man. I think you need to slow. It's okay to experiment. That's fine. But after 1 or 2 days of that, yeah, it ain't for you, bro. Just a little bit.
I'm going on 2 years now. I'm going on 2 years, man. My wife keep telling me, no, this natural thing is not. And it's athletes, we take like 3 showers a day, 3-4 showers a day.
Right.
I'm telling you, after like an hour, I'm starting to sniff. I'm like, who is that? I'm like, no, that's you.
So we are recording this. I don't know if I'm gonna use it, but I might.
Hey man, I don't care. Man.
So what exactly took you down that path, though? Why the whole natural thing? You went, it's the food and being organic, and now you're just like, all right, man, I'm just gonna deal with my bodily odor.
Well, no, listen. First of all, I never had a problem with my bodily odor. Like I've always had, great hygiene, especially being an athlete. Being an athlete, man. We take 3-4 showers a day. But the thing is, it's a progression. You go from eating healthy, and then you start thinking about the stuff you put on your body, like as far as the oils or the chemicals, because like now. I use all oils, whether it's coconut oil, almond oil, avocado oil. I use all natural stuff. And then the next thing I was like toothpaste. And then so I didn't want any fluoride. So I stopped using Colgate.
Yeah. And
then from there I went to the natural deodorant. But I think I'm gonna have to skip that, man.
Yeah, you might have to do that, man. So since you've been doing that though, so what have you seen in terms of benefits though? So like, how has it improved on either your health or your lifestyle?
Well, I'm still playing. I still feel young. Mm-hmm. I'm still playing at a high level. This year, we had almost like all of our guys was under 30, and really you couldn't tell a difference, other than the fact that I did have a little knee injury. But other than that, Terrell, man, I'm telling you, I really feel 26. Like I can't jump as high, but I'm still getting up there. Right. I'm still running with the guys, and when you put that in terms of dollar and cents, I'm still getting a check at 30, 36, and I still got a good 3 years. And I'm just saying that in respect to the year 40, because they always say when 40 comes, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
But maybe I can play even beyond that.
Yeah. So, it's interesting you say that when I think back to your journey and what I know about it, it's like you had a bit of an not a bit, but your journey to the NBA was an unconventional one. And so, can you speak to what like the unconventional journey was for you to get to the NBA and your journey through it, like the things you had to do and the path you had to take?
Well, okay. Of course, everybody goes through the draft. We usually go to the NBA. And my role was completely different because I was a fifth-year senior. After my fourth year, I didn't have a big enough buzz to enter the draft because I don't know if you knew, but I got caught with NCAA phone violation. I was suspended for 9 games, and that kind of put a damp on my senior year.
Okay.
And so the fifth year, I was really tough. I went a whole year without playing competitively. I finished up my finance degree, which was a benefit. And after you skip a whole year, it's like the world forgets about you. But I was fortunate enough to come back home. I don't know if you know the story, but I came back home, played in a lot of summer league tournaments, Shed Park tournament, Concrete, in the hood. And it just so happened, Randy Brown was at the Shed Park tournament, and he invited me to his one-on-one camp. Mm-hmm. So it was this one-on-one tournament that he was hosting at Loyola. And I got in it, and I remember everybody was saying, ain't nobody going to beat the guy who catches the Roosevelt bus to UIC every day with a gallon of water. Ain't nobody going to beat him. Right. So I remember when I came in there, I think I had a gallon of water. But, I ended up winning that.
Right. So it wasn't so that what I remember, the story I remember was like, I thought it was a 3-on-3 tournament, and you... Oh. No, it was a actually, yeah, it was a 1-on-1, right? Did you actually beat Paul McPherson or something for the championship?
No, you know what, Paul, I think at that time, Paul was in the league. I think Paul was okay. I think Paul was in Phoenix or something, but Paul wasn't in that tournament.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's how legend grows, you know what I'm saying? When stories get told, you know what I mean? Yeah, he went through this 1-on-1 and he beat Michael Jordan at the end. And
right. Hey, but they had a cat. No disrespect to him, but I can't remember his real name. But they called him Mike Jordan. Mm-hmm. He was bald. He had like an MJ swag. Right. And I remember I played against him. And I remember when I was playing against him, I sprained my ankle, and it looked like I might lose. Right. And lo and behold, my uncle Doug, Big Doug, came in the gym. As soon as I sprained my ankle, I was like, "Oh, he going down. They ain't gonna win." And Big Doug came in there. Not today. We ain't going down today. And when I heard Doug, I was like, "Oh, I got to win." So, I laced up my shoes a little tighter, and I went at Mike Jordan.
And so after that, after you won that, then how did the journey to the league happen? Like, you started getting calls, or?
No, you know how it is. We all a big family, so right. Randy Brown, Pete Myers. If it weren't for Pete Myers, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Mm-hmm. The year prior, I had played with them at the IIT, so I knew Pete. From Uncle Doug, I knew all of them growing up with them. Right. And so Pete had got word that I won the 1-on-1 tournament. So before the league started, they was inviting all the guys to start the season early with conditioning and just playing. So Pete invited me to an open gym. So it was Tyson Chandler, Eddie Curry, I think Jalen Rose was there, Daniel Marshall. So I was a little banged up, but I was like, man, I got to go. So when I went up there, they was all hooping, Eddie and all them. And just so happened, Jalen Rose was talking shit. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yo, let's get it on. So I'm talking shit back to him, and we win. I think we won. We won a couple games straight. Then Jalen, trying to get Danielle to go at me. I remember I'm blocking Danielle Marshall's shot. Mm-hmm. And so we talking shit. So it's like, they looking at me like, this kid is not scared. I'm like, man, this is my backyard right here. We in Chicago, you talking shit, Right. And so they liked that. And just so happened this year was a shift with the management. It wasn't no longer Jerry Krause, it was John Paxson. Right. So even though I played 4-year collegiate basketball, I had 1 year removed, so nobody remembered me. So everybody's like, who is this guy? Right. So I got a brand new appeal. It was like, this guy come from nowhere. And they invited me. Just so happened I was lucky enough that was the first year for mini camp. And that's when they was bringing guys in 2 days before veterans camp. Okay. So They invited me to the mini camp. I played well. Pete was telling me that not only was he rooting for me in the meetings with the coach, there was Ron Adams. So Pete was like, "You good? I ain't got to keep saying Linton Johnson. You got other people screaming your name." So then, in Veterans Camp comes Scottie Pippen, and Scottie Pippen take a liking to you. Like, man, who is this young cat?
Right.
So then, from there, it just worked. And the time, and I got lucky.
Yeah.
The numbers fit. So.
Yeah.
And that was the year Jason Williams had lost his contract, because remember he got to the motorcycle accident, so they had a spot open.
Right. That was that. Yeah. What was that? 90 what? No, that was actually that wasn't 90. That was 2000 and.
Remember, he was 2002 draft.
Right, 2002 draft. Right.
I'm talking about Jason Williams, the guard from Duke.
Yeah.
He got to that motorcycle accident, couldn't play anymore. They waived him with some insurance policy, so a spot opened up.
Yeah.
And just so happened, it was a spot open that I took advantage of.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. So speaking about, you mentioned Scottie Pippen, and I think once before you had the conversation about, or you told me that Scottie Pippen was your mentor throughout the league. What did you pick up from him, and what did he kind of give you that kept you through and pushed you through, and you carry on with you today?
Scottie Pippen is really a testament to the strength of positive thinking. When I was in college, growing up, I wasn't the best ball handler. Everybody always made light of that you won't make it, you won't play in college because you can't handle the ball. And throughout college, I always thought of myself playing one-on-one with somebody who can enhance my ball handling skills, because the way you get better is playing one-on-one, people reaching at you, developing the instinct. And every day, I used to always think about playing against Scottie Pippen because he was the best defender. Right. So when I was in the locker room, in my dorm room after practice, I would always think about me going one-on-one with Scottie every day, okay? The chances of a player making it to the pros is already, astronomical, 1 out of a million, okay? Then you get to the numbers of what are the chances of Scottie Pippen coming back to the Bulls the year that I'm on the Bulls, okay? Then, out of all the guys, I'm the guy that he jailed with. It was one day after practice, he just came to me and said, "Lynn, we just going to, play one-on-one, work on your game a little bit." He was showing me some drills. Terrell, I'm telling you, we played one-on-one, and it dawned on me. When I went into that locker room, I'm like, yo, all these years that I used to think about playing one-on-one with this guy, it actually just happened. Like, it really messed me up. I'm like, that's how powerful, positive thinking is, like seeing yourself do something. And, from that point on, Scottie was my man. Like, he was my vet. Anytime he was late, I would get in trouble. I had to make sure he was up. I had to fix his plate. And, throughout the years, he's always just been available for me, just being positive, staying within my framework, staying within my talent.
Right.
And that was one of the big things he told me, like, don't be so in a rush to shoot the three. You got other skills, defense, rebounding, and there's plenty opportunities just in that. And he's always been a good friend, even today.
Making it to the league and still playing professional basketball at this point in time, because you've been playing for what now, 14, 15 years now?
Terrell, this is 14 years. I'll be going to my 15th.
Right, and so that's to, by any definition, it's a high level of success, right? So when did you consider yourself? At what point did you consider yourself to be a success or to be successful?
To be successful.
Yeah, when is the day that you woke up and you were like, man, I have achieved the things that I really, that I've dreamed about, and some of the things that I didn't even think that I could do. Right. I've achieved those things. When did that moment?
I think for starters, for me, the whole success path started when I went to a university far away from home. Mm-hmm. Because that was a big decision. Everybody was going to school close to home. And I think by me going to school in New Orleans, that let me know that I can do things on my own. Mm-hmm. The second part, which was graduating, and that was something big for my mom, for my family. And then also getting a finance degree, because being an athlete, you get trapped into this world of mediocrity. Like you got guys always majoring in basket weaving or communications, which is something pretty simple just to play ball. And when I got my finance degree, I was like, I felt proud.
Mm-hmm.
And making it to NBA was a hell of a journey because it was luck. It was luck, timing. I think it had more luck to do with anything, or more than talent. Hard work for sure.
Yeah.
That's a common. But when I won the championship my second year, I think honestly that caused more damage than good. Yeah, because listen, man, I enjoy to have conversation,
mm-hmm.
And I enjoy to have a good time, and like anybody else,
right?
But
right,
at
like
25,
any young man, 25,
right, but at
with a little money in his pocket, right?
With a little money in his pocket, and to have a ring, something that guys go throughout their whole career, and can have a hell of a career and still have an asterisk. You didn't win, right. And even though I didn't play. I got hurt that year. But the fact that I was there from the beginning to the end, I was a part of that team. I have a ring.
Mm-hmm.
And at 25, I was like, I'm at a level that, I'm at the highest level. Especially that year, I was at the highest level.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, I was like, there's no denying me in anything. It is. I have a finance degree. I have a ring. I, got a little change in my pocket.
Right.
What more can you ask for at 25? So from that point on, I had a certain amount of success that allowed me to recognize that I can do whatever it is I put my mind toward.
Right. And so maybe about earlier this year. So I've been on this thing where I'm starting to read a lot more. And something I should have been doing 10 years ago, but that's a whole nother story. But I'm starting to pick up books and read a little more. So like earlier this year, I read The Power of Habit, right? And so successful people obviously have really good habits, right? And they seem to replace their bad habits with good ones. So what are some of the good habits that you would say you have that contributes to that has contributed to your past success?
Waking up early. You know what? There's so much benefit in being an early riser.
And when you say early, like how early is that? We talking 4 or 5 in the morning?
It can depend on how the day goes. Like, cause I can get up as early as 4:30, but 6:30 is probably like towards the latest. That's on like a typical day. Like, okay, if I'm out. We just had a game. I didn't sleep until 2. Now, of course, I'm not getting up at 4:30, 6 those days. Mm-hmm. But on days where I'm getting up between 5 and 6, I'm able to think my day because I always talk about it's best to be a author of your own day, and that is to write out your plans and accomplish your plans throughout the day. So. One of my habits is always to wake up early. In fact, when I don't wake up early, I feel bad because I feel like the day has already started without me. And then I have to jump on the bandwagon for something that's already started. So I don't own that. But if I'm the first one there and I'm like the early riser, if I'm waking up before the sun, I'm able to plan the course of the day before everybody gets started. I feel like I got ownership in that. And that gives me more seniority. It gives me more control of my day. And that's a habit that I really attribute to the success that I've been able to have over the years. Healthy eating, real.
Healthy.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go into that because I was going to bring that up, but go into that too because I think that's been a big part of your, from my opinion and my perspective, as it relates to your career and how long you've been able to go without any knock on wood and everything else, without any major setbacks or injuries and things like that, man. I'd imagine you'd have to attest that to your dedication to your health. And so Yeah, that has to be a habit. So yeah, go ahead and get into that.
Yeah, no, healthy eating. Because one of the things, aside from the nutrients, healthy eating provides is discipline. You got to think the whole world eats a certain way. Okay, whether it's meat, whether it's milk, whether it's sugar, fried food. There's so many people that eat that way, and it's so easy to fall into that. Also, when you get into the addiction,
Mm-hmm.
the sugar, they have addiction, and it's a calling. And the fact that you can sidestep that, okay, and stay on the course, be disciplined enough to say no to
Mm-hmm.
certain things, that eliminates half of the problem. Because a lot of injuries come from being malnutrition, okay? Then you go to the discipline of eating. Okay, there's one discipline not eating, then the discipline of eating. Okay, when you eat certain foods, you're able to also make certain decisions. Like I give you an example. They talk about a person who is already fed before they go out is less likely to spend money because when you go out the house hungry, your brain is more susceptible uh, to spending because you want something, because you're hungry. Now you want something. But when you leave the house already have eaten, then you're satisfied. Then you can go today, take care of your business without being distracted with like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want to buy that.
Yeah.
Okay. And that right there, and not even going to the nutrients, saving money.
Yeah.
That's so much of a big problem with athletes. Spending all their money, being broke, and then once they finish playing, they don't have anything to fall back on. And now you get into the nutrients of it. I mean, growing up, I've never heard anybody say anything about semi-decaf or no, excuse me, I'm saying it in Italian.
Right. Stop showing off, man. We'll get into that. We'll get into your fluent Italian speak in a minute, man. But stop showing off
I'm not
for the
fluent,
listeners,
so
man.
I don't even
Stop showing off for us, man. We get it.
Chia seeds.
Right.
Chia seeds, millet. Like I never even heard of that growing up. Even oats milk. I don't even know if they had that, but this stuff has been around for years, thousands of years, and that never even been presented to me. And I'm just gonna talk about me in the sense of the Black community.
Right.
And so when you talk about chia seeds having more calcium than cow's milk, or millet having certain nutrients in it that helps cure cancer, the disease that's destroying us by a large number. Okay, when you talk about like these nutrients, vegetables, fruit, because in the morning I eat only fruit, and this provides so much energy for me to have a productive practice. Okay, and having a productive practice leads to productive gain, and so I have to give the credit of food almost like 90%. Gives me 90% of the advantage of having longevity throughout 14 years, and most likely, more,
right,
at least 3 more years. So healthy eating has helped me within the game, outside the game, with family. You have to see my son. He's almost identically how I eat. Now, of course, he has distractions of his peers, and sometimes he eats other things, which I don't deny him.
right.
But
let the man eat a Snickers. Let him eat a Snickers, man. Let him get some Snickers in him, man.
But I don't deny that. If he wants a Snickers, I let him have a Snickers. But at the same time, he also knows what chia seeds are. He also knows what pumpkin seeds are. He drinks oats milk. Okay, so when he gets older, he's able to compare. Okay, I know what Snickers are, and I also know what an avocado sandwich is.
Right.
And once you've had the two and see how you feel, the decision is easy. Okay, I'd rather take the avocado than the Snickers. Yeah, so
an avocado sandwich. Send me the recipe to that. Yeah. So you spoke to the fact that you eat fruit when you get up in the morning. Can you speak to like your regimen a bit, like your day-to-day regimen? So what do you, in terms of your healthy eating? So it's pretty. I'm sure your schedule is pretty strict. So in terms of eating, that's the biggest problem, at least here in the United States. And for me, if I'm just speaking for me, it's the scheduling, right? So you get up in the morning, I try my best to eat some oatmeal.
Yeah.
Have a cup of coffee and then go to work. And then lunch is the hardest thing for me. I need to start taking my lunch. That contributes a lot to my unhealthy version of eating. And then dinner is like by the time you're turning down from work, right? It's like, and then you got kids to feed, and then they don't eat everything you eat, which they probably
Right.
should, and and all that's challenging. It's just the scheduling of it all and then planning it all out. So what's your regimen on a regular day? What's Linton's regimen?
Okay, well, I can show you right here because I keep these handy, brother. Hold on a second. I always, I don't know if you can see this. See this?
Yeah, I
These
see
are
that.
full of nuts, man. I got what I got. I got pecans in there. I got Brazilian nuts. I got almonds. So as soon as I wake up, the first thing I do, I drink a glass of lime or lemon water, something that I put in my juicer, and I juice the whole lime, and I mix that with water, and so I drink like a glass of that, and then I have me some nuts just in the morning. Now, when it's time for breakfast, which is we have breakfast around like 7 or so, I'm either eating oatmeal. Like if it's cold, I'm eating oatmeal, and I do like steel cut oatmeal. I do or old fashioned. I don't do that instant stuff. And I put chia seeds. I put pumpkin seeds. I put sunflower seeds. I don't put any sugar in there. I put raisins, and I cook it with coconut oil and cinnamon. Okay, that's on the oatmeal side.
Right.
Like other day, like when it's warmer, or when I'm not eating oatmeal, I make me a smoothie. And my smoothie is, when it's cold, I use almond milk because it's a little bit thicker. In the summertime, in spring, I use apple juice. And so then I will put like 2-3 teaspoons of oatmeal, but I will put lime, kiwi, 2 bananas, a half a melon. I put half avocado in there. I put blueberries, strawberries. And then I have like a slice of bread of peanut butter. But I don't do peanut butter with oils, with hydrogenated oils. It's just straight peanuts, and it's got the oil. You got to mix it yourself, or we make almond butter ourselves at the house.
Okay.
And so I have that on a piece of bread, and I use a bread. They call it here segale, but it's typical like a spelt bread in the States. And that's what I would have.
Yeah, I've never heard of spelt bread. And I'm a bread lover. That's part of my problem as well. Eating all that.
Wait, now you eating wheat?
I do eat wheat bread.
You gotta stay off the wheat, brother. You gotta stay off the wheat, because what you gotta know, what the chemicals they use to have higher yield in wheat is something called glyphosate. Glyphosate, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And you got to look that up.
Okay.
And they talk about how glyphosate has helped cause this new problem with people of celiac disease. And that's why so many people are going gluten-free. So that's been something over the last 20 years. And over the last 20 years, what's been added to our diet is this chemical, glyphosate. And it's in majority of wheat. In fact, brother, you can't go. Last summer, I was joking with my wife. We searched the bread. Out of all the breads, we went to Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. Every one of them had wheat. It was like only one brand. It was like Ezekiel something that didn't have wheat in there. Even the brands that read a different grain, if you look on the back, it says something wheat. So yeah, you got to watch out for that glyphosate.
Okay. So with all of that said and all these habits, right, and all the success and conversations about that, you now have a family,
Yes.
and you've grown exponentially. So, how has that changed you, and the things that you fundamentally changed you, and the things that you do today? Like, how has fatherhood changed what the single Linton was doing with his life and in his lifestyle?
Well, I mean, apart from the obvious how it changed.
Well, yeah, apart from that, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
No, but Terrell, when I was a shorty,
Right.
I watched my cousin, and I think I explained this last time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it is something that was really important to me. I saw my cousin how he had a child of 16, and and at a young age, because I may be like 4 years younger. I was 12, and I saw him, and I was like, wow, he young just like me.
Mm-hmm.
And to have a child and to be so young means that you are at a novel stage, and to be at a novel stage and to have to teach somebody, it don't that don't go together. It's like you have to be at a mature stage to know something in order to pass them down. And I remember being at 12 years old, I said, you know what, I don't want to have any children until I'm capable of giving them something. And, throughout the years, because even in high school, I used to come to school with sardines, lentil beans. And by going through that.
I remember
Do you
that.
remember
Man.
that?
I remember
Yeah.
that, man. Vividly, dude. Right. Vividly.
So, going through the years of I say being disciplined. I mean, everybody have their share of disciplinary actions, but with those actions, I was able to learn something. By having discipline, you can see where you went wrong, and then when you go wrong, you can make amends to that, and then change the course and to go better. And that's the beauty of being disciplined. Mm-hmm. And now that I have children, I can bounce off of the actions or the mistakes that I've made in the past, and now pass on to something to them that's been well tested. This thing's been well rehearsed.
Right.
Now, because people always tell me, are you going to do this with your child? Are you going to do that with your child? Are you scared? Like, no, I'm not scared. People always tell me about, well, you didn't grow up eating this stuff, But then that sounds silly that you want your child to make the same mistake that you made.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that from a standpoint that now that I'm a father, I feel that I'm ready enough to, proceed in this journey of being a father. And there's no book to this. I'm not saying I'm completely right.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm confident in what I'm doing in raising my child.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful, just like any parent, just to watch your child grow and listen to the things that you tell them, and then you get a good result from that.
Right.
Now to hear his teachers say that Linton is particular, he's unique, he's wonderful. And my son, he's 3 years old, but he's in the class with all 4-year and 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And for his teacher to say, when I saw his drawing, I would have never thought that he did it. I would have thought that one of the 5-year-olds did it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every parent want to boast about that child.
Yeah, everybody's biased.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it could be that, hey, your son could eat pork all his life and still did a drawing like that.
Right.
But you know what? I'm going to take that and give me ammunition to do more for my child in the correct manner in which I see it,
Right.
So that stuff makes you feel good. And I think that by me having that discipline early on helped me in this situation I'm in now.
Yeah, no, I've been down the same road in certain areas when it comes to my boys too. Like, I know I'm biased when I look at certain things, but the cool thing about that is that when I look at it, it's like the fact that I'm here and I'm able to pay attention to those things gives me access to allow them to tap into things that they could learn to be and be successful, right? So a lot of times I grew up in a single family home. So my mom, she sometimes working 2 jobs. And so the time that she has to really spend and pay attention to her kids in a manner in which she can push them in directions in which you can see that that they have some potential to be more successful than others. It's limited, right? And so when you have a 2-parent household, it's a tad bit easier in that respect, because now you have 2 adults looking at a kid from different perspectives, and you can kind of notice things, and you're like, maybe he has a propensity to be an artist, so I'm going to put him in more artistic things and see if that's something that he would like to be, that he would like to do and grow into a passion for him, right?
Yeah.
And so when you were saying, I think it was interesting when you were saying, like, you're really not that you're pushing, but you're putting your you putting your spin on your son. Obviously, it's your son, and that's what you want,
Right.
and you're raising him the way that you want. Do you think that limits how open you may be to conversations about fatherhood? Right? Do you have conversations about whether something that you're doing is right or wrong with people that are older than you or people that you would consider a peer about fatherhood and how you're going about it? If that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I'm not having that conversation. Me and my father, we often talk, but not necessarily about fatherhood. It's just, you have conversation in general.
Right.
But I don't think you necessarily have to have a conversation about fatherhood in order to receive value points that can help you in fatherhood.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
But the biggest challenge for me was, and it's also something about growing up where you become humble. Because if I was 26 and I had a child, I wasn't at a humble state in which I could change course so quickly once I recognized an error. Because one of the errors that I was making, Terrell, is that I wanted my son to be exactly like me because I felt that, hey, I'm as good as they get, and that's an error.
Yeah.
No, and that's an error because you got to realize my son would never have the examples of the life that I have. Like, this boy is speaking 2 languages.
Right.
This boy is almost speaking 3. He in a whole different culture. He got people telling him, you beautiful, bellow every day. I didn't get that. Being dark skinned, coming from the hood, being gunshot, whatever I went through to make me, he damn sure not gonna get that.
Right.
But that's not saying that he had a disadvantage. He got a whole new world that's gonna be created. And who am I to try to force him? I ain't gonna say the word force, but lead him in the direction that I want him to be in from what I know.
Right.
When it's a whole new world that hasn't been seen yet, that he has the opportunity to open up, to start. You see what I'm saying?
No,
of course. Yeah. So now, of course, I'm gonna give him the basis in which what I know. But at the same time, at any point in time, he feels something to go left or right, I'm gonna let him go. But at the same time, I'm a protective father. But you got to know that every child has a whole different world. And who are we to prevent them from exploring that?
Right.
Now, I'm going to protect my son from what I know is wrong. If my son wants to do drugs, okay, I have to intervene and try to show him that that's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, if my son wants to, I don't know, be like, I don't know, an Italian designer or something like that.
Right.
Who am I to step in front of his path? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think my job as a parent is to make sure that my son has the best tools to be what it is that he wants to be. Okay.
Agreed.
And it's my job as a parent to protect him from any dangers that I foresee out here. Yeah. And it's a hell of a balance, Terrell, because I don't want to sit up here and contradict myself that I want my son to be free, but at the same time, with that freedom, I still have to protect him. Yeah, and I stand firm. And when you talk about fatherhood, you talk about a man applying policy. So what's policy? You talk about somebody that's going to apply principles and not adhere to what's already set up, okay, the status quo. Because we talk about two people or 2 parents in a household. But now we talk about the mother and father has to go to work. So now who raised the child? Right. Okay, so now you send your child off to daycare, different schools, or when you come home, you don't have time to eat at the table. So now the television is there raising your child. So now is a father able to apply policy when his child is being raised by television, is being raised by somebody at school, whether right or wrong? But I want to be on something right. But are your children picking up the principles that you intend for them to have? So if I'm a father and I intend for my son to spread love and to create life that we know Okay. And if he diverged from that, then I wasn't able to apply policy, my principles that I grew up, that I have rehearsed and to have come back on me as the right thing. And to have my son not to be able to at least grow from, my examples, my teaching, then that means that I wasn't able to apply policy.
Right.
And that's what I think it means to be a father. It means a father means to have a woman that shares your principles. So when you go out and work, she's raising your child to the best of her ability to share what you two have in common. Okay. To be a father is to have a household, to have some place of stability where your child can grow safe. Okay. And to be able to set policy. How much of our children are getting food outside the house? How much of our children are growing up without the intentions of the parent? Who knows? Mm-hmm. But I would like to think that not every father is able to apply policy to their household as much as they should.
Right.
And I should be able to establish that in my household, no matter what the world thinks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely, I agree with that. And it's challenging to some degree because of all the channels and vices that are presented. Right. And so you have to consciously begin to shut those things off. So one of the, I won't call it a fear, but one of the things that I consistently watch in terms of my boys is like, I'm tuned in to the things that I fear and my experiences as a child. And some of those things I'm letting leak over into my kids. And I know I should be doing better. But it's like, I understand that I am not going to be the only, I think I'd be a fool to think that I'm going to be the only influence on my kid as they begin to grow up. It just doesn't work that way unless I put them in a bubble, lock the door, and that doesn't do anybody any good either, right? And so when you talk about policy, I believe that I absolutely 100% believe that to be true, and you have to that foundation needs to be strong and set. So when they have these outside influences, even if they begin to deviate, they know how to get back to right. to square right. one. Kind of like what the old folks used to say: raise up a child in the way it should go, and it would never part from it. Right. Right. And I believe that to be true. And so it's challenging because I have to deviate from some of my bad habits that leak over into my kid, and then. Also, I think a key thing that you said was ownership, right? So I have to take the ownership and assessing the fact that I screwed that up. The things that he's doing and he's mimicking or they're mimicking is things that I've either allowed or that they've seen me do, right? And so the things that we put in front of them, it's very important that we're conscious of those things because they begin to unconsciously mimic the things that we put in front of them, whether it's letting the TV raise them, the environments that we put them in. We can't be mad at them when they grow up and they cursing us out if that's all they've seen, right? Right. So no, I think that's a very excellent point. The policy, I don't think I've ever heard anybody put it in that perspective in terms of fatherhood. Like, it's pretty much laying down the law as you see it. And that's what I was asking. I was asking if you were open to having conversations about, do you think it's your policy is sacred, or are you open to having conversations about it and being, and not deviating from it, but changing it as you grow older and you get wiser and you have those conversations. Right. Yeah, no, as an example with spanking. Right. So, I have this, today I'm kind of on a fence in terms of whether I want to whoop my kid or find another alternative for punishment or finding a balance in between that. Right. So I believe to some degree that spanking our children has some positive effects on it. But then when you begin to read and see some of the negative effects, it's like, wait, I don't want to whoop them for every single thing. Right. And so you have to find some balance. So you begin to have conversations with people that go through the same thing and talk about what they do to, for lack of a better word, punish their kids to get a better result, right? And so that's as an example of what I'm saying in terms of policy, because some people are strict, like, I ain't sparing the rod.
Right. Now, you know what? And and that's the beauty of maturity, Terrell, because I'm open to dialogue because the truth reigns supreme. And if I can have a discourse with somebody or read something that comes across that makes more sense, that's righteous, then of course, I have to amend or adjust, my actions. And let's talk about spanking.
Mm-hmm.
My son, I was thumping him. I was disciplining him. I didn't spank him because, okay, he's too young for spanking. But as I watched the reaction to thumping him, because I was thumping him before he was 2, because I said, I got discipline.
Right.
I was noticing that I wasn't getting the reaction that I was looking for. And since now with my daughter, now, of course, I just have a personal preference. I don't. It's impossible to do them both the same.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that, I'm still strict with her when it comes to things she shouldn't do, but I don't thump her. But I still get the right response. Now, that's to say, that's with all girls. But I just feel like if I have another son, I won't be so quick to thump him, or we can substitute the word spank. Because now, even with my 3-year-old, when he gets older, I think spanking, and I probably won't do it. It won't be the first option because I've noticed that these are little, it's obvious, it goes without saying, but these are little human beings and they understand. Okay, they understand when you're serious, they understand when you're playing. And by having that stern in your voice or being disciplined in other ways than spanking, I think you can get your point across. And I think the basis of it all is, do you have time? Because in order to discipline a child, you can spank them really quickly and get the result. But in order to get a desired result that you want without spanking, you need time. You got to talk to them. You got to let them know what's this and what's that. And then they can learn from that. Now you educate them. But do you have time enough to do that? Do you have the patience? Does your job warrant that? Are you home? You have a stable mind. Are you calm at mind to do that, to raise your child? And that's the things that I've learned over these years with my son. The difference now, would I spank him or would I, talk to him or try to teach him and be patient with him? Because, from our culture, we got whoopings, we got spankings. And then as we all know, you got to see where that history came from. Because why was you whooped? Why were you whooped? Right. Why were you spanked? And then it can go to something that was, unnecessary in our history. That maybe, that maybe we should eliminate altogether. Right. So, and these are type of adjustments and just open-mindedness that you need, right. Because you can't just keep doing the same thing, and you don't know where it came from.
No, that's the definition of insane. You keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. It just doesn't. It doesn't work, right?
Right.
And so I think that there needs to be. Everybody should find some healthy balance in that, and everybody knows their kid, and you'll know what gets as time goes on. If you're there enough and you're patient enough, you'll find the thing that triggers your kid to do what's right, opposed to doing what's wrong. Right. And it's hard because they're young, and sometimes I forget that my oldest is just 4 years old because he does things, and whether he's in school and he doesn't want to be attentive, he just really wants to play, and then he gets to throw in his shoes, and then you get that phone call, and you like immediately go to your experiences, right, and the things that you've been around. It's like, so how did my parents or my uncles or people around me or my friends' parents, how did they handle situations like this? And then you follow that same model. And it doesn't necessarily have the same result. And you're like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this and just expect it to do something different. Right. And so yeah, it's challenging, man. So, but I'm definitely just like you, open to growth and maturity, right? And that's why we're having these conversations, because right now your perspective is totally different. Being in a different culture, being abroad for so long, you've seen some different things. Your experiences are different. So there are a plethora of things that you've seen that could offer some growth to my situation. Now, I'm not asking you for policy like you raise my kid,
Right.
but if I call and be like, bro, I'm going through this with Tyler. What do you think, right? And I can take it or
Right.
leave it, but it's an opportunity for me to grow in some sense and begin to have that dialogue and conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking about policy, right, and with respect to fatherhood, how can you give me some policy? What's the one thing that you think was passed down from your dad that you still hold on to today? If there's the thing there.
What's the thing that I, you know, you know, my father is so interesting, man. He's a beautiful person. Because the biggest thing that he always talked about is that a man has to have some land that he calls his own. You know, he got to have community, set up shop where he is. Because the beauty of my upbringing that I can attest to is that my father had a hand in the community that I grew up in. Because my father didn't have a 9 to 5. He was always around on Crenshaw Central Park, whether he was selling Christmas trees, fixing cars. We were selling dinners, selling snowballs. And all the young guys that grew up in my community was under my father. You know, we did printing. Like my father's title job was a printer. We did printing jobs. In Christmas time, we sold Christmas trees, snowballs, dinners. I ran a newspaper route. So all these guys was under my father at one point in time. And as we grew up, you know, these guys started to deviate, and these were your thugs, your gang bangers, your lords, sold drugs, okay? And as I grew up with them, you know, it's easy to follow, you know, your peers. And as I tended to drift in that direction, because my father was so integral in that community, they was able to say, hold up, we can't let you do that because we know your father coming, or you got something else going on. And so not only was I in that, you know, in that system, but the system kind of helped me out of that, you know, not out of your hood, but out of that path towards either incarceration or you getting killed. Okay, because I can remember vividly me going on the corner saying, "Man, you know, I want to sell," and they was like, "What you talking about? Right. Man, you can't stay here. You know, your father wants something better for you." You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the thing that I have here is I have community. Okay, and I have it's something unbelievable how I'm able to see something in my life for the first time that I've never seen. Is community, Terrell. It's like the school that my son attends is right downstairs. Okay, the daycare is right down the street. My wife works at a bank right around the corner. I play for the city's team. Okay, and the fact that I got a hand right here gives me that same advantage that I had growing up. And that's one of the biggest things my father was talking about. He talked about get some land, some area that you can call your own. Now, okay, I'm not Italian, and I'm living through my wife because she's Italian. But the whole essence of community and raising a child in an environment that you can control, that you set in policy. Like, I give you an example. Like, even though I send my daughter to a daycare center right down the street for a few hours, we know them people personally. Like, we've invited them. They've eaten at our house. We've eaten at their house. And I was able to implement policy there. When I went there, I said, listen, my daughter don't eat this. She eats that. They allowed me to bring stuff in from outside. And that's because we have community. Everybody knows each other. It's not like I'm sending my daughter downtown or someplace out of my community where I don't know people say, no, we don't have outside food. You know, if they don't eat this, they can't eat. No, we able to set policy. Now, we able to set policy because of friendship, proximity, what have you. but the fact that I've been able to establish policy where I'm at. I'm in control of my area, and I have time and space. I'm close. It don't take me an hour to drop, because I remember my auntie used to drop her daughter off at Lane Tech. Took an hour, and that's an hour, that you lose, that you could be doing something else. You see what I'm saying? Now imagine you grew up on Kersey in 16th.
No, Costner. 15th to Costner.
Okay.
Yeah.
15th Costner. Now imagine if you went to Herzl. Okay. Your mother went to work on 13th. All the groceries, everywhere you went for entertainment was right there on Costner. And you controlled that whole area. Yeah. Okay. But how I went to Herzl. My grandma went to work downtown. In order to have entertainment, we had to go downtown. To go to the grocery store, we had to go to Omni. We had to go to Cub. We had to go way far. To go to the mall, we had to go to North Riverside. Man, we go to Walks. Right around the corner of our center. They get everything. Mm-hmm. That's what we do on Friday. We go for walks. I ain't never been. When I first got over here, my wife was like, let's plan for a walk. It's like, plan for a walk? What you talking about, walk? Right. But it's something, you take time out. Imagine, because Roosevelt Road was our street. I couldn't even imagine going with my father and mother walking down Roosevelt Road, looking at shops. I couldn't imagine that. It was nothing but liquor stores and churches on Roosevelt Road,
Yeah. There was a time when it was different, though. There was a time when it was different. It was different.
And why did we lose that? Because there was a time when the black family, and we all know this, like, because the stuff I say is highly noted. But, hey, I hope that did that mess up anything?
No, it just stopped the recording, so it'll just have to I'll have to chop it up and edit it and post edit. That's fine. It just I'll fix it. But it did record that first half. We good. I still got that. So okay. But you were definitely getting into it, so it did break up at a bad time.
Yeah, no, I hate that because it takes me a while to get going. Then when I get going, I almost stop.
got that train moving, and then it's just like, all right, you need to charge me up. But no, it definitely was like that at the time, man. I was just having a conversation with an uncle of mine, and we were talking about success, and to some degree, you'd have to believe that success. I don't want to use the word destroyed is just so harsh. But it divided us, right? And so I guess the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you can find visual images and stories about how our communities had to be together. There was no doing something without Jimmy or Johnny up the street, right? And right. Knowing that the things that you did affected Jimmy and Johnny up the street. Right. But then as we begin to for lack of a better word, assimilate, and then become more successful in things and in the world, we begin to spread apart. And so our perspectives begin to change. And right. The people that were left behind in those communities that didn't grow because the government didn't provide funding to continue to let that flourish. And then we moved out and our money stopped circulating in the community. So what happens? It begins to die. And so the people that are left behind have a particular perspective, and then when you leave, you grow and you gain some knowledge, and the conversation, that line, that bridge, it gets broken. You can't come back to that place where you can begin to help each other out and be a benefit to each other, right? And so with all the good things that success brings, that's some of the detriment of it, right? And so when you look at where you are today, with staying abroad, how long have you been staying, like living completely abroad now?
Well, I first started playing over here in 2010, but I think I made the commitment to stay over here probably like 2 years after, about 2013.
Right. So it's been a considerable amount of time that you've stayed abroad. So now the access to you and somebody who's had your experiences and your perspectives has diminished greatly, even more than when you were, coming back and forth and just spending the 8 or 10 months that you were there, and you would come home, and then people had access to talk to you, be around you, and soak up some of the things that you would bring back if they were open to that, right? And so if they don't have your phone number like I do, right, they can't have them conversations to continue to grow, right? So, and which I think is a good thing, and hopefully this allows for some of that access to happen, and it'll touch somebody. But the thing I want to ask, so what made you make the commitment to live abroad, right? Outside of the fact that that's where your career was, and you know you had to be, and you were going to be there a majority of the time in the year anyway. It's still a huge step in the commitment to say, you know what, I'm packing up. I'm gonna sell my assets here, and I'm gonna give this life over here. Outside of the fact that you're trying to create another Kobe Bryant, that's something totally different. We'll have that conversation later.
Right.
What made you make that commitment?
Well, you know what? I think it started, like I said, the opportunity for this to happen started in 2009. I remember it was after I had my second stint with the Bulls. Okay, I was driving on Lakeshore Drive. It was late. But it was, I don't know, about like 10, 11. Okay, and mind you, I just finished the season. Okay, it was probably like I don't know, like early June. Okay, before I went to summer league with them, and I was in my car, a nice car. You know, I got money, ain't got no problems, got license, ain't all tickets paid out. You know, no, never been to jail. Okay, had my seatbelt on. Okay, and I'm under the speed limit. Okay, and I remember I was in my car, and behind me I heard the sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
I clenched up like what I do? Like, oh man, I hope they ain't after me. And them police went right past me. And then I had to pull over, and I was like, man, look at that. I said, here I am. You know, just finished with the Bulls, 29, got money, never been to jail, ain't got no drugs on me, got my seatbelt on, going under. But it's in me to be scared, to be worried. I did something. I'm automatically guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then at that point, I said, you know what, man, something's wrong. And I said, if I ever have the opportunity to leave this, I'm going to take it. Okay? And I just said that. I didn't think I was going to go overseas and like that. And then when the opportunity for me came to go overseas, at first I turned it down. I was like, shit, man, I got to go overseas. But then once I left, I was like, you know what? I think this is something for me to kind of like break free. Okay? And I hate to say that word break free because, you know, there's a power in being in your community. And I always talk about the reason why I'm in Italy is an era of our own community. Because in Italy, man, you got these Italian guys. They can play as long as they want, jump from team, lower division, high division, because they have created something for them. And can you imagine now the whole product of the NBA is nothing but black people, black guys. You would think at some point, I understand this billions of dollars industry, but at some point you would think that we could or should start something of our own, even if the top are not within that 400, but at least we started something just for the guys who are just underneath that to have a life. Because after that year with the Bulls, you know, I got picked up by Orlando. I didn't have another opportunity to continue the lifestyle that I had or anything remotely underneath it. Okay, I had to go overseas. And that, as you say, pulled me away from my family here that had access to me. And I suffered from that because I got nephews that, you know, are now 20, that are older, that when I see them, I don't see a piece of me inside of them like how my uncles saw themselves in me.
Right.
You know, and that come from an era in our part to establish something of our own. And for me, when I lost my mother from cancer, something that could have been prevented from nutrition, because we don't set policy for what we eat. We always eat just what's available. I give you an example. I remember one time me and my father, we was coming out the grocery store, right? And there was this guy, I think he had access of, I think it was like water, something he had that he had too much of. And he had said, anybody want this? It's free. And as soon as that guy said free, he said, oh, I take it. It's free. It's free. I'll take it. My father said, look at that, brother. Here it is. You just accept anything.
Right.
You can't be in a position where you got enough, got what you want, and you can reject whatever they got, even if it's free or not. We good over here. I don't need that.
Right.
But that's the problem. We accept whatever that they got, okay? Because it's known that different groups of people should eat different foods. Like every food is not good for every person. And the fact that my mom died from nutrition, okay, a lack of, showed me that it's something wrong, something that we don't have set up for ourselves here, okay? And when I lost my mother, I kind of lost something, like a connection back home, okay? Because I felt that, back home, they want to kill you, they trying to kill you, and you will die. You won't be spared, just by accepting anything, okay? Yeah. And I think that is what really solidified that, hey, you know what? I'm open to start another life outside, to give it a try, because I know what that's all about here. And for the most part, I've appreciated the quality of life that I'm having.
And so, what's been your biggest challenge with living in Italy and abroad?
The language.
Cut it out, man. You.
Yeah, but like I'm learning, but it's still, you gotta understand, Terrell. Like for the toughest part for me was letting go who I was, and I kept trying to duplicate who I was here. Duplicate. It's tricky, but once I understood that I got to create something new here. Okay, I'm still me.
Right.
And ain't no matter where I go, I'm still Linton. I'm still who I am. But it's like you have to be confident enough in who you are and create from that. And I was trying to copy that. And when you in a different language, you can't have access to that. I'll give you an example. I'm a spiritual person. I'm a deep person. I like to get into people.
Right.
And the way you do that, you got to use the right words.
Yeah, the language. It's the only way.
You have to have the language. And I don't have that. I can say,
right,
mask stuff like, how you doing?
Right.
What time is it? Are you going here? But to get in somebody, I can't have that. So,
that's challenging for you.
And that's me. Because when I get somebody, I got somebody. I get into you. Right. And I get into you because I want you to give me something. Then I can grow from that.
Right.
But over here, I haven't been able to have that success. And so that's been my biggest challenge. So
on the flip side, the yin and yang, or the yin in that, is what's been the greatest feeling of, aside from the ability to go down to take your kid downstairs to school and the community aspect. What's the greatest thing about living there, or is that it?
Greatest, the longevity of life, because I can see here it's so fruitful in the sense that these people got community. Like they not okay. This ain't no heaven. I want to get that understood. Like this place it's a lot of dirty places. I mean, like with anybody, like any place. I'm not here to talk bad about things.
Uh-huh.
But when you come from something and you're able to compare, I'm able to reap and to bring out the good. And the longevity of this system that they got here, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like that's really worth sacrificing and raising my family. Because it's not like I have children in the States. Like I have my son and my daughter, my wife, they are here. And I'm looking forward to, having an environment, a safe environment that they can prosper from.
Makes sense. So I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got some things going on. And so I want to ask, if you had the opportunity to put an ad in a barbershop, what do you think it would say, or what would it look like?
An ad in a barbershop.
Right.
Honestly, the ad in the barbershop it had to be based on food, and it would go something along. I know it's just corny, but eat to live. Eat before you leave the house. And when you're hungry, go home. And you'll be surprised how many problems you alleviate, how much trouble you would avoid, how much benefit you would get just from that alone. If you eat to live, not eating for taste,
Right.
If you eat to live, and if you eat before you leave the house, and when you hungry, go home.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed at how much more outside of nutrition and diets, and how much more you'll be able to be ahead of the game. That's off that alone.
When it comes to us in our community, our sanctuary is the barbershop, right? That's where every man has to go at least once a week, right?
Yeah.
So that access, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
I can't wait till I get home to go to my barbershop, because I got two brothers, Marquise Green and Ron Slate is two brothers. We rap a lot, and they kill me. They say, "Brother, you bogus for not sending your son to the African barber," because it's an African barber. He like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And I go to this Italian guy right here down the street that I taught, how to, do me decent.
Right.
He doing a decent job. He ain't doing nothing spectacular.
Right.
And they say, "You bogus for not sending your son to the African brother 30 minutes away to have that good barbershop."
Yeah, they right. I would agree with them on that, man. It's a part of
They killing me on that.
You ain't too far gone to know better about the culture behind the barbershop, man. So you got to do a little bit better on that. Be open for that and your policy, brother.
Right. I got to open up my policy a little bit for that. Yeah.
Right.
But the Italian cat, he right here, 2 steps from my crib. So I don't lose no time.
Yeah,
I lose an hour if I go there and back, hour of my day.
Oh man, cut it out, man. Convenience is everything, but it ain't everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes culture and all of that, keeping them close to it is a little bit better. But no, man, I definitely appreciate you joining us again and putting your words of wisdom down so we can empower and encourage someone else. And I really appreciate it. Well, folks, episode 1 is in the bag. Had an awesome time chopping it up with El Presidente. And hopefully soon he'll be back to give us a little bit more of that wisdom and some more stories. Do us a favor and go head on over to iTunes and subscribe if you already haven't. And if you have, take some time to give us a review down in the review section. It helps us move up the charts and get this content out to the rest of the world. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Peace.